pushing through the river valley. And we are just going to continue to push this out across all platforms. Again, we are within an hour, almost half an hour away, about 45 minutes away exactly, from getting our morning going with 5 News this morning. That'll be live from 4:30 to 7. Of course, we'll continue to track out the storms then. Let's go ahead and push this out on our app as well. If you've never downloaded the 5 News app, this is a great time to do that, so you'll get alerts. If you're not on social media, you'll get alerts letting you know when we're going live. But we are tracking a damaging wind threat coming through the Fort Smith, the River Valley area right now, and that's our main concern. Northwest Arkansas seeing some gusty winds and a lot of lightning for everybody here this morning, and some very heavy rainfall. But the strongest winds are with this storm that we've been tracking from near the Tulsa area all the way. We'll send that mobile alert. All the way through eastern Oklahoma and now into the River Valley. Let's see. All right. A lot of little housekeeping things that we have to take care of a lot of the time. All right, that's good. So we've sent it out on our mobile alert. We'll get that out of the way. Let's track these storms out for you. Latest information coming in. We haven't had any wind reports yet, but I know they're out there. And when I show you this, you'll see what I'm talking about, these winds here. So this is a live look at radar. We're going to zoom in here for you, and we're going to track these storms out. They're moving southeast about 30 miles per hour. Look at all the lightning here behind me. Let's go down to the River Valley. Again, these are the strongest storms. Just an incredible amount of lightning going through the Fort Smith Van Buren area. And then what we really want to look at here are the winds. So we're going to go from, this is called reflectivity. We're looking at the rain. This is where we look at the hail cores. We just look at the updraft strength here. And now we want to go over to what we call velocity. And we're going to look at the winds within the storm. And where we see bright colors, that's going to be some strong winds. So now we have 2 areas of strong winds that we're going to be watching. So again, severe thunderstorm warning. The strong winds are in the Fort Smith area now. The storm is moving very quickly. So Fort Smith, Van Buren, and then back into LaFleur and Sequoyah counties. The strong winds have already moved out of your area. Still a little bit breezy, but this is what we're looking at right here, where we're seeing the brighter colors. That's where we have the strongest winds coming through right now. So we want to do a quick update for you, and then here in about 15, 20 minutes or so, of course, we're going to continue to track this out with you. We're going to jump off here, just giving you a heads up what's likely going to play out. Still got a couple of things to get ready to tweak for the show, and then we're probably just going to be doing live radar as we kick off our Friday morning. But we're seeing some bright greens right here, so this is where we have the potential for damaging wind gusts around 60 miles per hour. Good news is this does look like it's come down just a little bit. We'll put this on a loop here. Let's do the last 15 minutes. And we'll play this out. Actually, let's go ahead and go back further. Let's go back the last 30 minutes. Okay, so you can see right there, you see those blues pop up? This is pretty close to the radar too. So we're getting likely a good sampling of winds down near the surface. The further away the storm is, the radar beam is shooting up because the earth is curving, right? So we're not getting a good sampling at the lower levels. We start looking at the mid and upper levels of the storms, where we expect there to always be bright winds. The closer the storm gets to the radar and you still see these bright colors, the likelihood that you're seeing some strong winds, not aloft in the storm, but coming down to the surface. The good news is that this storm did peak. It's pulsed back up. It was stronger out towards the west, weakened some as it was coming through Adair County and into northern LaFleur, Sequoyah County, and then pulsed up quickly. Severe thunderstorm warning was likely just a little bit behind here. We probably should have issued that just a little earlier in Sequoyah County. But you got the dark blues or the brighter blues showing up there, so likely some 60+ mile per hour winds coming through across the Arkansas River and in portions of Crawford, Sebastian counties, especially in the Fort Smith area. Van Buren seeing some gusty winds more on the southwest side, but those are continuing off towards the southeast. So heads up to you in Barling. That's where we have our strongest winds right now, crossing Highway 540 and then moving east. We can zoom in a little bit closer here. Still seeing some gusty winds. Likely 50 miles per hour. Wouldn't be shocked if these aren't at least 50, maybe up to 60 miles per hour, moving along Highway 22. So if you live along Highway 22, near the Barling area, in between there and Fort Smith. You have the potential for some damaging wind gusts. And you see how it's never just stays on the same track. The winds are always shifting around a little bit. So it's coming straight down Highway 22, and now the strongest winds have shifted there off towards the south. So now they're diving to the west. So it looks like Barling, the strongest winds are going to stay just to the west. That donut hole right there, that is our radar that we're using. So the closer it gets to the radar and you still got these bright winds, we definitely have some strong 40 to 60 mile per hour winds, certainly likely sweeping through the south side of Fort Smith here. So coming right down 540, strongest winds now shifting just to the south of 540 as it makes the turn right there, coming across Highway 255, it looks like, and near the Huntington Circle road there. And that's going to continue off towards the south. We're going to be tracking these roads or these strong winds moving south through Fort Smith now and heading towards Highway 71. There's also another area of some strong winds to the south. We want to keep our eyes on this. More compact area, but to the south of Greenwood, southwest of Greenwood. So now we're transitioning to red. You're saying, what do all these colors mean? Green is moving towards the radar. Red is moving away from the radar. So now we're going to go from more of a dull red to, as it turns, more pink, and then it potentially even a little more yellow in there. Then now we're seeing these colors getting a little bit hotter, which means the winds are getting a little bit stronger. So we have strong winds sweeping out of the south side of Fayetteville or Fort Smith, and then in central Sebastian County, now we have another area of some gusty winds picking up between Hackett and Midland. These are going to be heading southeast, heads up to you down in Mansfield. We've got these strong winds coming towards you. This is, again, a large, severe thunderstorm warning for these two areas of winds that we're watching right here. One right around the radar, and then another one to the south. We want to watch this one too. Again, this one may be picking up a little bit more steam as this one's weakening. Both these area of winds will certainly be able to continue to make their way off towards the south. So strong damaging winds, mostly in Sebastian County. A little bit further to the north, and I know we've got the severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Leflore County, Pecola. You've got some gusty winds. You got a lot of lightning. You can see all the lightning strikes on here. So very electric storms here. To the north, Crawford County, you got some gusty winds, nothing too concerning. We've got a gust front right there, so you've got some gusty winds sweeping into the eastern portions of Sebastian County. Right now, Franklin County, southern areas, you're in the severe thunderstorm warning. The strongest winds are well off towards your southwest. We'll still watch this gust front. That could kick up winds 30, 40 miles per hour on its own. And if that continues to strengthen, we'll keep our eyes on that for you too. There you go. There's a new severe thunderstorm warning for the second pocket of winds. Looks like, so we've got two competing National Weather Service. The National Weather Service out of Tulsa, their area ends at the county line with Scott and Logan. So now you have the National Weather Service out of Little Rock taking over, issuing a severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Scott and Logan counties. And that's one of the last warnings that we'll likely get from the National Weather Service out of Tulsa for that cluster of winds as that continues to dive south, leaving the original warning and going into the new one. Let's get the information on that. Let's see. All right. See if the speed is picked up any here. Okay, so Sebastian, Leflore, potential for 70 mile per hour winds. So they put the considerable tag. So the potential for, again, some damage certainly here with the winds picking up in the central and southern Sebastian County. The overall, it has the storm moving about 20 miles per hour. Again, the hail threat, it's not really what we were tracking yesterday. We were tracking a damaging wind threat. It continues to be primarily what we're tracking here this morning, a damaging wind threat, maybe a few isolated pockets of some small hail, penny-sized hail. Can't be rolled out with these storms, but the greater concern is the potential for these damaging winds sweeping across right now, mostly just Sebastian County. You got the outflow boundaries, the gust front right there, now at the county line going out of Sebastian into Franklin. Heads up to you in Scott County and in Logan counties. These strong winds, they're making their way towards us and going to be moving in here in the next 30 to 45 minutes. Again, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit here and let's look at the big picture, see if we're starting to get some wind reports coming in. Let's see. So we had 64 knots. Where is this? Around the Fort Smith. Okay, so it looks like Fort Smith Airport coming in with some strong winds. Let's get the exact, around 73 miles per hour. So definitely capable of producing some damage. I've seen damage. I've been doing this long enough. I've seen power line poles snapped on 40, 50 mile per hour winds if it hits things, if it's hitting just right. So you can have power issues. We've had tree limbs and trees damaged, and you can have shingles messed up on 40, 50 mile per hour gusts. And that happens often as we go throughout the year. You get 60, you start to get 70, you're going to get some damage. There's going to certainly be the potential for some shingle roof damage. You're probably going to have a lot of small trees and tree limb damage. And then you start getting 60, 70 miles per hour, you can have big trees and big tree limbs start to be impacted as well. Also, now you're just talking about strong winds that are continuing. They pick up a lot of debris and they can carry that for miles too. So you can have loose items in people's backyards, front yards being picked up, and now that's tumbling around as well. And then that's why we tell you, get away from windows. I know it's so tempting to go outside or at least go to the window, look at the lightning show outside, look at the winds picking up and the heavy rain coming down, but it's not safe. You can get these strong winds to get some debris kicked up, and that can come flying at those windows and shatter that glass. Okay, so we have, again, strong winds sweeping out of Fort Smith now. We had 70 plus mile per hour winds reported at Fort Smith Airport. Could have even been a little bit stronger as it was coming through Sequoia County. This warning was issued late, but we are where we are now. The stronger winds out of the Fort Smith area kind of weakening a little bit. New area of strong winds. We're tracking them for you, pushing south through Sebastian County. And just to give you a look here, we do have thunderstorms in northwest Arkansas with some lightning and heavy rains, but you see how we don't have those bright colors. We don't have the bright greens and the bright reds showing up here. You just have some generic thunderstorms right now, and you have, again, a little gusty winds, and that's about it. All right, strongest winds now shifting off towards the south, potential for 70 plus mile per hour winds. They were a little bit brighter right there, just to the north of Midland, but coming in Midland right now, 60, 70 mile per hour winds. The storm has a history of producing damaging winds going back to when it really started. It's pulsed up and down, but it really intensified to the southeast of the Tulsa area, and as it's made its way into Arkansas, it's pulsed up and down, producing a lot of lightning, a lot of rain, and at times some damaging winds. So a history of producing 70 mile per hour wind gusts in Fort Smith. And we're going to continue to watch it now as it's moving through the Midland area. We're zoomed in here on Sebastian County if you're just joining us. Damaging wind threat, that's the strongest winds. You still see some bright colors spreading out down Highway 71. Strong winds in the Greenwood area. Between Midland and Greenwood in Sebastian County, this is where we have the strongest winds sweeping south towards Mansfield and towards Dayton. We need to continue to watch it. In terms of, or as far as the tornado threat goes, it's low, it's extremely low, but when we get these big wind events going, sometimes we do have to watch and see if there's any little kinks in the line that can produce some brief spin-ups. But really, this damaging straight line wind threat is greater than even if we had a little tornado threat spin up, because that would be very isolated. They're usually short-lived. These damaging winds are spreading out across a lot larger area and impacting a lot more real estate at one time, more than if we even had a tornado out there right now. So straight line winds don't always get the respect that they deserve, but we've been watching them last night produce some strong winds in northwest Arkansas. This morning it's focused more in the River Valley. Another area of strong winds surging right there to the south of Greenwood now. You see how this is fluid? This is just continuing to pulse up with us here as we go minute by minute. We're just watching new areas of strong winds take over. New area of potential damaging winds here, 60, 70 miles per hour coming in on the south side of Greenwood. This is shifting southeast towards the county line. There's Scott and Logan counties. Logan County right here, Scott County just down towards the south. Mansfield, you've got strong winds knocking on the doorstep. Winds have come down. Again, they pulsed up there around Highway 252, right around the Midland area. Still strong, still the potential for 60 mile per hour winds there just to the west, northwest of Mansfield. And then now the strongest wind shifting a little bit further off towards the north. Large area of just strong winds all the way back from Charleston. Again, this could be, I wouldn't be shocked if we're 40 to 50 miles per hour, maybe trying to get closer to 60 miles per hour around the Charleston area. Strongest winds definitely back down towards the south in Sebastian County. Again, from just south of Greenwood back towards Mansfield, 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts going to be possible here. Still a little breezy for us in Fort Smith, not quite as strong as it was when we started this Facebook Live for you and on YouTube as well. We're also talking to you watching live on our app. Again, if you've never downloaded the app, you're watching us on one of the social media platforms, download the app. That way you get the alerts, lets you know when we're going live, and you don't have to go find us on Facebook or on YouTube. You'll know right away and just click on that on your phone and it'll take you right to our live stream. Again, we're 30 minutes away from starting 5 News this morning. So we're going to continue to get ready for that here in a couple minutes, but we can go ahead and track this out a little bit longer. Again, now the strongest winds, potential for over 70 mile per hour winds. There's Dayton, there's Greenwood, there's Washburn. This is as far southeastern Sebastian County. This is Logan County down near Echo. That is Scott County, just at the bottom of the screen there. Right here, strongest winds. If we're seeing 70 plus mile per hour winds, it's going to be right here to the east of Highway 71, and it is heading off towards the south. If you live anywhere between Greenwood, Dayton, if you live along Highway 252, between Dayton and Washburn, get ready. It's pretty much moving into your area right now. Again, remind you that our radars, it takes a couple minutes when they scan, go out, get a sample of everything, get us a picture, and then come back to us. It takes a couple minutes to process that picture that we're seeing. So it's always a couple minutes behind. So what looks like, hey, you still have a little bit of time, it's not always the case. Again, we've got gusty winds going into the Charleston area, Charleston there in southern Franklin County. Again, we are under that severe thunderstorm warning. Severe thunderstorm warning way out in advance in Logan County from Boonville over to Blue Mountain to Tate. We're looking at the potential for damaging winds to be heading this way over time. You still got a little bit of time here down into Scott County as well. 2 areas that we're watching, damaging winds there to the northwest of Mansfield, damaging winds to the south of Greenwood, potential of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. We had a wind report out of Fort Smith for 73 miles per hour. Let's go look here at some of the latest information coming in. Canceled the severe thunderstorm warning for Crawford, LaFleur. Okay, so we talked about that. So they're starting to trim this back a little bit. Definitely not seeing the strongest winds around the Pensacola area. We're watching for some of these winds to try to spread out with this warning. The initial warning kind of came back, had Pensacola and Fort Smith in there. You're not in the warning anymore. The strongest winds are out towards your south. And let's see, got a new wind report coming in. Okay, we're still getting some gusty winds around the Fort Smith area, but definitely looks like as the winds came through, we were easily in the 60 to 75 mile per hour range. So some really strong winds, and it lasted for a few minutes. I mean, the storms are moving quick, but not that quick. So you're not even talking about just one damaging wind gust. There's a couple damaging wind gusts pushing through the Fort Smith, Van Buren, and Sebastian County areas here early this morning. Let's go ahead and check out the speeds as well. Storm's still moving around, picked up the pace a little bit. We're up from 30 to about 35 miles per hour. That's good. We want to sweep these storms through, but that forward motion also indicative as it's going up to the winds within the storm are going up as well. Okay, so strongest winds south of Greenwood. This is what we're watching. Just joining us here, you're waking up. A lot of lightning, heavy rain. We are not tracking severe weather in northwest Arkansas. We are tracking a lot of heavy rain. I can show you that here. This is velocity. We're looking at the winds within the storm. We can back up and kind of do big picture here. And this is called reflectivity. We're looking at the showers and thunderstorms. Forecast was solid. We knew we would likely overnight, late evening overnight, we'd start to look out towards the west. Thunderstorms in central and eastern Oklahoma would continue to build. A lot of fuel for these storms to feed off of. In 5 country, eastern Oklahoma, western, northwestern Arkansas. You stepped out this morning if you happen to, just when I was walking into the building this morning. It was warm. You could tell the air is just juiced with fuel, with energy. That heat, that moisture in the air is what these storms are fueling off of. We had that round of rain yesterday come through. And then we had sunshine right away. So the atmosphere recovered all day long after it had been overworked overnight with the storms, and then kind of set the stage here again for us to see the potential for another round of severe weather. Look at the lightning here. That is a lot of lightning. Again, this is all moving off towards the east. This activity is going to continue eastward. By sunrise, mid-morning, we should be done with this round of rain. We could see some lingering spotty showers mid-late morning. Quiet in the afternoon. We're going to try to get some sunshine to come out. Clouds are likely going to linger a little bit longer than what we saw yesterday. The atmosphere is still going to try to recover all day, and then we'll look to the north, and by late evening, we could see another complex of storms coming out of the Kansas-Missouri area where we saw it yesterday, making a run for us. If we can get some sunshine out and the atmosphere can recover, these storms are happening early enough in the day, that's going to be very possible. Then we could see another round. So it'll be 3 straight nights in a row that we've seen thunderstorms come through. All right, we've got showers, we've got thunderstorms, we've got lightning to the north, but nothing is severe. Everything's well below severe limits. It's this cluster of showers and thunderstorms right there that we're watching. Okay, so let's get a little bit closer here for you. We're going to switch our radar. We're going to zoom in, and while we're here, let me just check the hail real quick. There's some pockets of small hail in Sebastian County, but I mean, we're talking really small now. I could dump it. It could certainly, we could see a pocket or two form where it's pretty heavy, but it is going to be light. This is mainly a wind threat. A lot of lightning there, a lot of lightning showing up. Here's a look at, we'll turn the lightning off. You can see the rain, very heavy rain. We're seeing this cluster of storms as it's been working out of Oklahoma. It's the reason we have the flash flood warning here, aerial flood warning, is because as it was coming through, thankfully it's still moving along pretty quick, and it's even picked up about 10 to 15 miles per hour pace as it's coming into Arkansas. 1 to 3 inches. Isn't that crazy? 1 to 3 inches. But the good news is it's not training. It's continuously moving. So you're getting a good soaking. If this was to stall out, we could see some flooding issues pick up quickly for us. But this is continuing to progress off towards the south. And we've still got our severe thunderstorm warnings for Sebastian, southwestern Franklin, and then out in advance, we're in Scott and Logan counties. We have the severe thunderstorm warning. This is reflectivity. We're looking at the rain coming out of the storms. Now with this wind threat, we're going to zoom in and we're going to look at the, we'll put this on a, we do 30-minute loop. Now we're looking at the winds coming out of the storm. Again, 2 areas. You've got this getting a little bit brighter. Now this is moving away from the radar, so you're starting to look a little bit higher, but it's still close enough that we're likely seeing these strong winds reaching the ground around Mansfield, and then some gusty winds. Could probably see some winds near 40, maybe 40+ miles per hour trying to pick up as they sweep across Franklin County. And then again, let's zoom in on where we're seeing these hotter colors. Red is moving away from the radar site. So when we were tracking the winds coming into Fort Smith, they were green. Now as they're moving away from the radar site, they're going to be red here. And as you see the brighter colors showing up, that's where we're seeing the stronger winds. Where you see it going from red to pink to yellow, that's where we have the potential for considerable damage. And that's the verbiage used from the National Weather Service with the current severe thunderstorm warning. Let's see what we got here. Sebastian County, 3 miles east of Mill Creek, reporting 70 mile per hour gusts. So it has a history of giving us multiple 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts from Fort Smith on. I wouldn't be shocked if we didn't have some 60+ mile per hour winds in Sequoia County. We're watching the storm come through as it was getting closer. It was pulsing up very quick. So we likely even had some damaging winds in northeastern Sequoia County and really ramped up even more, peaking right over top of Fort Smith. And then continuing. Now we've seen a couple areas of strong winds pulse up as it's been moving through Sebastian County. All right, so we are seeing a little street flooding going on and around the Fort Smith area, so we're going to keep eyes on that. Again, producing a lot of rainfall, but the rain is moving. It's not just sitting and kind of training over the same areas, but we're looking at a quick 1 to 3 inches, which does not have enough time to move off into the streams and the creek. So wouldn't be shocked. Of course, I would expect that we're getting some street flooding. So that'll be something that we'll monitor, is if there's any kind of rescues or anything going on there, but likely some street flooding going on in the Fort Smith area. But you're going to be getting a break from the rain here soon. Winds really picking up. That's incredible. That's one of the higher wind reports. Can't say for certain that all of that is reaching the ground, but that is some very strong winds coming through the Mansfield area. Let's go ahead and check that out. Storm is still moving about 30 to 40 miles per hour. Let's pause this. See if we can't get a reading on these winds here. This is what I want. Let's see. If I turn those off. I mean, yeah, that's gate to gate 129 miles per hour. I don't know that those strong winds are actually reaching the surface, but we probably definitely have 70 plus mile per hour winds coming down to the surface here. So heads up to you, can potential for some considerable damage now crossing out of Sebastian County into far western Logan County, and eventually here northern portions of Scott County. Okay, let's back out here again. I really need to. I haven't even been able to get the show ready because we've been tracking some of these showers and thunderstorms, but that's okay. This is the most concerning, pressing issue right now, is tracking these storms moving through Sebastian County. So we're just going to continue to do that. And then we're going to see if we get some reports to start coming in. Winds have been picking up. We've been tracking this for the last few minutes too, saying, hey, we're watching the gust front kind of moving through out of Sebastian County into Franklin County. Strong winds. Could still see winds picking up. 50, 60 mile per hour winds going to be possible around Charleston and southern Franklin County. Again, potential for considerable damaging wind threat pushing through the Mansfield area. And we're starting to get into some rural areas down towards the south here, but we're going to continue to track this. That is impressive wind signature there. The last 45 minutes. So again, we're watching these colors. When it goes from the darker, dull reds, and then you start to go to the brighter reds and the pinks, and then you start to go to the yellows. Not often do I see it go to the blues there. So, and it's going from blue to green. So very strong winds with this storm. Can't say for sure that all of these winds are reaching the surface, but would not be shocked if we at least have some of these winds reaching the ground, which could still be well over 60, 70 miles per hour. So coming through the Mansfield area. So Mansfield taking a direct hit with some very strong damaging winds all the way right along the county line. Strong winds came through the Dayton area. You kind of dodged a bullet, really picking up right there on the county line. So this is sweeping southeast. So Elm Park, this is western portions of Logan County. This is Franklin County here to the north with Barber and Tate. Excuse me, that's Logan County. All right, so Scott County right here, Logan County, western Logan County, you've got some strong winds coming in. There's Franklin County, south of Charleston, got some gusty winds picking up. You can just see the strong winds arcing all the way back down to the county line. New severe thunderstorm warning out of the National Weather Service in Little Rock for the rest of Scott County, or the western half of Scott County. That's in preparation for these storms to continue to roll south. We'll get the latest information on that. All right, let's see. So we're looking at potential for 70 mile per hour winds here as well. Considerable damaging wind threat. Storms are moving south. And see if they picked up speed, 35 miles per hour. So hasn't picked up speed too much. Man, a serious wind threat pushing through Sebastian County into Scott County. Latest scan right there looks like it may have weakened a little bit, so that's good. You're still seeing those brighter yellows and oranges showing up. So still some very strong winds down to the south. So we're about 15 minutes away from the show starting. I know a lot of you got comments out there and just tracking the storms here. Hopefully I'm answering your questions as I'm doing this. Yeah, I can't get to over 200 something questions. Strongest winds right now to the south of Mansfield. So if there's going to be any damage, rural area here. But if you live along Highway 378 coming out of Mansfield into northwestern Scott County, potential for some very damaging winds right along Highway 71 now, kind of going into Scott County, back into Logan briefly, and then coming back into Scott County. This is all going to be continuing to head off towards the south. Waldron, you've got a little time, but some strong winds. It's pulsed up and down, so I wouldn't be shocked if it doesn't do that a little bit more. So you may not take a direct hit right now. This cluster of winds looks like it may stay just to the north of you, getting closer to Tate. We'll watch that for you. This is southwestern Logan County right here. This is northern Scott County, got Sebastian County. Looks like we've trimmed back some warnings a little bit too. So I'm also looking at, let me send a message here. Also looking at strong winds across the rest of 5 country. Again, we're good. Northwest Arkansas, I know we've got showers. I know we've got thunderstorms. Nothing severe. Not even close to being severe right now. Just some pockets of rain, heavy rain mixed in, a lot of lightning, a few gusty winds. Very strong winds down here to the south. Okay. All right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and we're going to stop here. We're going to stop our live stream on YouTube, on the app, and on Facebook. We're less than 15 minutes out from being live on 5 News this morning. That's going to go from 4:30 to 7 a.m. This is what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be tracking these storms. We're going to be tracking these strong winds. We're going to also be looking for power outages as those potentially come in. We're going to be looking for damage reports. We're going to be tracking heavy rainfall moving into the river valley. Good news is it's moving quickly, but there is a lot of moisture for these storms to tap into, and they are wringing out every single drop that they can. So some street flooding is going to be common in some spots of the river valley. The good news is that the rain's pretty progressive. It's moving along, so you're going to get a break, and you're going to allow time for that rain to move out. We are tracking another storm threat going into the late evening, potential overnight hours going into Saturday. So we'll continue to keep you updated all day long on what that looks like. But here in a couple more minutes, again, 13 minutes away, we're going to be live on 5 News, and we'll have you covered as we go through the morning. So I'm going to jump off of this. Please, hopefully you'll continue to follow us, and we will keep you updated. Thanks to everyone for all the comments and for sticking with us to keep you updated. We will keep you ahead of the storms, and we'll see you back on 5 News.